And there's people going to hell because they tried to take the back way out, as the Amir talked about, of going the back door instead of the front door. See, the temple has a front door. The back door is not for entrance, it is for taking out the garbage. So when you come in the front door, then you realize that you have to get your national identification card, you have your registration, and it goes to Chicago at 355 East 51st Street. Which 3140 Indiana Avenue we are trying to purchase now, which was the Prophet's first Unity meeting. And that's where Unity Hall was at. So I'm saying this for a reason, because the Amir talked about cognitive thinking, and cognitive thinking means what? It means that you must use thinking, understanding, reason, and willing. These are not the soul, but it's actions. God is giving you something different, not like all these others, because they have distinctive nature, so do you. But if you act in that animalistic nature, then you have destroyed yourself, because the animal must die. Keep this in mind. This body must die. Now the soul gonna go after a while, but that soul is gonna be accountable for the actions of your body. It's gonna bear witness. Your mouth, your arms, your legs. You can't lie, because everything you do is written in the book of life. Now, hopefully I answer comprehension. Rest of these answers for now will be short. What is it? Question? Question? Yes, Islam.
We noticed there was a temple on Nebraska Avenue around here in Toledo. They still have the sign up and everything. It's not I just didn't know what was going on over there. Would that be a temple set up this morning?
Another book that was not. Hold up, let me put the mic down for a second.
No, we have real quick.
I see the time. For one, this is a very good book to get. How many of you all have this book?
What did it say?
This book is by a real live doctor and professor who was in Ivan Vatimus Servan's book, The Moors. And his name is Dr. Jose Pimento Bay, who's in this grand body. Jose Pimento Bay, the doctor, a Spanish historian, he put this book together, Othello's Children of the New World. It's a good book that you all should get. Now, here's some quick things that was given to us by the minister in Chicago, Emmanuel Braswell Bay, and the minister is doing well. Wow, that sounds familiar, don't it? That's how Noble Ali taught us how to talk about the divine minister. He says here, historically, that Sister E. Mentor was very active with Home Office in 1929. Throughout, she leaves an address of 417 Division Street. She referred to this temple as number 18. In 1929, we hear from the following brother A. Bryant Bay, Grand Sheik, and Sister D. Jones Bay, head Sheikist. They list the address as 617 Division Street. It says here that during this time, there seems to be an ongoing issue with Brother Charles Bay in Cleveland about the charter and his attempt to control MSTLA 18. In September 13, 1929, Brother A. Bryant Bay writes Brother Millie Hill and addresses him as Grand Governor and thanks him for sending the correspondence about the dietary laws from the Prophet Noble Ali. Now, if you don't know about dietary laws, that means you don't supposed to eat pork. You don't supposed to eat anything unclean. Also, it says, so this also was a revelation for me as well as this. It's the first time I read any official making reference to the dietary laws. He also states to stay away from strong drinks. For Moorish Americans, it ain't a revelation to me because that's how we talk in the home office. We talk to be very Islamic. It says later on in 1934 they moved to 709 Division Street. This correspondence comes from Brother L. Robinson Bay. In October 7, 1929, Brother A. Bryant Bay, Grand Chief, Sister Jones Bay. And let me give you a historical note about the Jones Bay family. The Jones Bay family was connected to one of the biggest mafia sets in Chicago. The Jones Bay family were the ones who ran the numbers. One of the name of the books, of the numbers book, was Black Moors. And that book, later on, after Al Capone and all of them got busted, they had a great connection with those Moors in Cleveland, New York, everything, where you heard the history, if you know the history of the Moors in Cleveland, that you couldn't use profanity in front of women. You had to read a book, a dictionary, all the way from A to Z and starting with the word Avar. Oh, that sounds familiar too, don't it? You looked at the movement Malcolm X, but this is the truth. You had to memorize things. You had to be, cautious say, you're supposed to be in suits and ties and Moorish garb, what we wear so beautifully. It also says that Sheikah's Donald L., Grand Secretary, Sister Alento Bay, Grand Governor sends in their financial report to Home Office totaling $88.10. We talking about 1929. So you can take $88 and see what you get out of that, a whole lot of money. January 8, 1935, the order comes from Mr. J.L. for Qurans. He lists the address of 443 Nebraska, Toledo, Ohio. This was in 1935.
What was his name? Is this his person?
J.L. He didn't even leave a full name. But what I'm saying is these are notes, but they're actual letters, and way more letters that will tell you the history. See, if y'all went in there with those names, y'all know about Manthino. Manthino was the brother of A. Bryant Bay. And so when you read the rest of it, it says this information and more will be available for official review at the annual convention of Moorish American history. In Chicago, we will be going into the history of Toledo. And because of your event right here, Mother, this is how we do it. Because this event here, it opened the door for the minister to open up these records. So if you came down there, you become the message you bring. You won't just be talking about, oh, I'm starting a temple on my own. I'm doing this on my own. You know, how many people say they're going to, how many people you going to let do something on their own in your own house? Drew Ali the one suffered for this. He suffered. Many other people suffered as well. But guess what? When you reveal what they call that, you break the rolling seal, you got to die. Drew Ali died. Marcus Moselle Garvey mysteriously died. So if anybody died of good old age, that means they are not a threat to nobody. If they're not put in a prison, up under another ground, up under another concrete, they're not a threat. If they can't convince somebody within your own household to kill you, they will just outright get you themselves. Historically, we know that they blew up a whole project in Philadelphia. We know that there were many massacres in places like Cleveland, because Cleveland was really the strongest at one time of Moorish history and African consciousness. So I end this by saying that hopefully you'll get into the history. That was a good question. So we invite people to Chicago in what they say, it'll be September 15th to the 20th. We invite people to Cleveland, not just to visit more science in America, to visit the Islamic experience. But if you don't got no nationality, you're nothing. Flat out.